Iliara Vance wiped the sweat from her brow as she adjusted the console panel. The derelict research station hung in silence, floating on the edge of an asteroid belt that humans had only charted recently. She had been sent here to repair power conduits and inspect the life support systems. It was supposed to be routine work, a simple assignment far from the crowded colonies of Earth. But Iliara had learned over the years that routine rarely lasted long in the fringe. The station was old, its hull scarred by micrometeor impacts and years of neglect. The artificial lights flickered overhead as Iliara moved carefully down the narrow corridors, her boots clanging against the metal floors. She carried a small toolkit and a portable diagnostic device, scanning the station's systems as she went. Despite the quiet, a strange sensation made her pause. Something in the air felt off, like the station wasn't as empty as it seemed. She reached the central chamber, a large room with multiple docking bays and storage units. That's when she saw it. A figure slumped against the far wall, trapped inside a transparent anti-gravity chamber. The form inside was humanoid, but unlike anything Iliara had ever seen. Purple-hued skin shimmered under the station's dim lights, and the silhouette of what appeared to be armor covered the body in angular plates that looked both elegant and deadly. A pulse of worry shot through her. This was not a human. Iliara quickly accessed the chamber's controls. The anti-gravity field flickered and hummed as she worked. With a few precise taps, the field deactivated and the figure collapsed to the floor with a soft thud. Iliara jumped back, startled. The alien's chest rose and fell with labored breaths, and she could see signs of injuries, cuts, bruises, and what looked like scorch marks on the armor. Instinct pushed Iliara forward. "Hey, can you hear me?" she asked, her voice careful, hoping not to startle the creature. The alien stirred, lifting its head slowly. Its eyes were large and golden, with slit pupils that gave a fierce, predatory look. The eyes locked onto Iliara, and for a moment she felt like they were seeing straight into her thoughts. The alien spoke in a language she didn't understand at first, a series of clicks and hums. Then it switched to basic Galactic Common, a tongue she had studied but never practiced much. "Who are you?" the alien asked, its voice rough but controlled. "I'm Iliara Vance, engineer," she said carefully, keeping her hands visible. "I found you here, you're hurt, I can help." Its gaze swept over her, appraising. Finally it said, "You touch the armor, you clean it." "Do you know what that means, human?" The words came slow and deliberate, like a warning. Iliara shook her head, confusion and fear mixing together. "No, I don't. I just wanted to help." "Something cultural, something serious." "I didn't mean to disrespect you," Iliara said, keeping her voice calm. "Please, I just want to help." She had heard about the Kirin, a species renowned for their warriors, their strict codes of honor, and their ancient traditions. But she had never met one up close and certainly never realized that cleaning armor could be considered an offense. Her stomach tightened. I didn't know," she said honestly. "I'm sorry." "I didn't understand." "Tell me what to do." If the alien warrior was warning her, the situation was far more serious than she had realized. "All right," Iliara said, grabbing her tools and standing. "Let's get you somewhere safe." Yet the alien moved as if weight didn't matter at all. Together, they made their way to the docking bay. Iliara started the small transport shuttle she had used to arrive at the station. The alien climbed aboard without a word, sitting stiffly but alert. Iliara kept her hands on the controls, trying not to make sudden movements that might trigger another offense. As the shuttle lifted from the station, Iliara glanced at the alien. "Can you tell me your name?" she asked cautiously. "Kerith," the alien replied. "Kerith," Iliara repeated, testing the sound. "All right, Kerith, we're going to get out of here and figure this out together." Iliara kept the engine steady, her mind racing. She had accidentally offended a proud warrior, and now she was in the middle of an uncharted region with a target on their backs. Kerith's gaze never left the viewport. The alien's silence was heavy, and Iliara felt the need to explain herself again. "I didn't know about your armor. I didn't mean disrespect. I just wanted to help you heal." She had to prove she could act honorably and intelligently, even under pressure. Hours passed as they navigated through the asteroid field. Iliara monitored the ship's systems, making minor adjustments while Kerith occasionally pointed out dangerous paths with a precise tap on the navigation screen. Despite the tension, a strange sense of cooperation began to form. Suddenly, the shuttle's sensors beeped violently. Iliara's heart skipped a beat. Multiple unknown vessels were approaching fast. She frowned at the screen. "Kerith, we've got company. Give me a chance to find a safe path." The sensors showed the Eniran ships moving past, searching but unable to pinpoint their location. Iliara let out a shaky breath. Kaerith finally spoke, breaking the tense silence. "You act fast, think human, may be worthy. Must see if more than luck." She would protect Kaerith, navigate the dangers ahead, and find a way to earn the trust of a warrior whose culture was older and stricter than anything she had encountered. Somehow, she knew that humans had a role to play in the fringe, if they could survive the first test. The stars stretched endlessly around them, cold and distant, yet full of possibility. Iliara tightened her grip on the controls, determined. Whatever came next, she would face it head-on with courage, ingenuity, and a steady heart. For the first time in weeks, she felt the thrill of purpose. And somewhere in the cabin, Kaerith's golden eyes never left her, silently measuring, silently judging, silently waiting. The accident with the armor had started it all. Now the real story was about to begin. Iliara hunched over the shuttle's controls, her fingers moving quickly as she scanned the asteroid field ahead. Every small rock could be a shield or a trap. She felt the familiar adrenaline of a challenge pressing against her chest. Kaerith sat silently beside her, shoulders tense, golden eyes flicking from the control panel to the viewport, scanning the void. Iliara could feel the alien measuring her, still uncertain if she was truly worthy of trust. "Do you see them?" Iliara asked cautiously, trying to break the silence. Kaerith's gaze didn't leave the viewport. "Eniran, hunting, clever, fast. Must hide or die." There was a way through, but it was risky. Narrow gaps, debris, and the constant threat of detection made every maneuver tense. She looked at Kaerith, trying to read the alien's body language. "I think I can get us through safely. You need to trust me." That was fair. She didn't expect forgiveness or understanding after accidentally offending a proud warrior. She only hoped that her actions could speak louder than words. "Then let me prove it," she said firmly. The shuttle lurched as Iliara navigated through a cluster of jagged asteroids. The ship scraped against one rock, metal groaning under the stress, and Iliara gritted her teeth, carefully correcting the trajectory. Kaerith's hands hovered near her armor, ready to spring into action if necessary. Her golden eyes shone in the dim cabin light, tracking every movement outside. Minutes stretched into tense hours as they dodged, weaved, and hid behind floating asteroids. The Eniran ship searched tirelessly, sensors sweeping the field in systematic patterns. Iliara worked quickly, rerouting power from non-essential systems to the engines, giving the shuttle an extra boost when necessary. She adjusted the shields to reflect the asteroid's shadows, making it harder for the enemy ships to pick them up. "You clever," Kaerith said after a long silence, her voice quiet but laced with cautious approval. Iliara smiled faintly, though her focus never wavered. "Thank you, I've had to think fast before. I can do it again." Iliara's stomach tightened. She barely had time to react. "Kaerith, hold on," she shouted. She swerved sharply, weaving through a narrow crevice just wide enough for the shuttle. The ship scraped against the rock on both sides, metal sparking, but it held. Kaerith grunted, her body tensing. Luck not enough, must think fight or hide. Luck could only carry them so far. She had to outsmart the Eniran, not just outrun them. Her mind raced. The station's old data contained experimental tech she could use, sonic disruptors, electromagnetic pulses, anything that could interfere with the enemy sensors. If she could trigger one of those devices remotely, it might give them the edge they needed. "Do you know how to use the disruptors?" Kaerith asked suddenly, breaking into Iliara's thoughts. Iliara hesitated. "I think I can. I saw the schematics back at the station. It's risky, but it might work." She accessed the shuttle's auxiliary console and opened the station's secure network link. The disruptor arrays hummed to life, the ship vibrating slightly as the energy built. Iliara's hands flew across the controls, coordinating with Kaerith to time their escape. The first pulse fired, a wave of electromagnetic energy shooting into the asteroid field. The Eniran ship sensors blinked out briefly, sending it into a near panic. Iliara seized the moment, pushing the shuttle into a narrow gap, engines straining, shields holding. Kaerith grunted in approval, moving instinctively to help stabilize the ship during the maneuver. For a few moments, silence reigned. The Eniran ships were disoriented, giving Iliara and Kaerith a small window of safety. Iliara exhaled, feeling the tension drain slightly from her shoulders. "We did it," she said quietly. Kaerith's eyes, however, remained alert, scanning the surrounding void. "Small victory, must be ready. Eniran, return." She also realized that Kaerith's trust could be earned, but it would take more than a single escape. Hours passed as they navigated further into the asteroid belt. Kerith remained mostly silent, occasionally offering sharp observations about the field, warning Iliara of potential hazards. The alien's input was invaluable, and Iliara made sure to follow every instruction with care. Slowly, a tentative cooperation began to form between them. During a brief pause in a shadowed alcove of the belt, Iliara began tending to Kerith's injuries. The alien allowed her to inspect the cuts and bruises, and Iliara carefully applied antiseptic gel and bandages she carried for emergencies. Her hands moved deliberately, avoiding any armor plates that might trigger offense. "You careful," Kerith observed. "Human cautious may be worthy." She resolved to show Kerith that humans were more than clumsy or reckless. They could adapt, protect, and survive. As they moved deeper into the belt, Iliara noticed a faint signal on the sensors. It was weak but steady, originating from a small moon nearby. "Kerith, I think we can make it there," she said. "There might be some old shelters or abandoned facilities we can use for cover." She found a crater with jagged walls that would provide cover from detection. Carefully, she guided the shuttle in, Kerith monitoring sensors and pointing out hazards. The landing was rough, but they touched down without incident. Once on the surface, Iliara and Kerith moved cautiously, using the shadows of rocks and ridges to stay hidden. The moon was barren, silent except for the faint hum of distant machinery buried under the regolith. Iliara realized this was one of those forgotten facilities humans sometimes stumbled upon, old research posts abandoned decades ago. "This, better than nothing," Kerith said, voice low, "but must prepare." "Arin come." As night fell over the moon's surface, Iliara sat beside the shuttle, exhausted but alert. Kerith stood nearby, scanning the horizon. Human, clever, maybe more than luck. Must see if survive worthy. The stars above the moon sparkled coldly, distant and indifferent, yet full of possibility. Iliara tightened her grip on a makeshift weapon she had scavenged from the facility. She knew the Eniran could strike at any moment, but she also knew that she had Kerith by her side, and together they had a chance. And somewhere in the shadows, Kerith's golden eyes reflected the faint starlight, silently measuring, silently judging, silently waiting. The accident with the armor had started a chain of events neither of them could have predicted. Now, survival, trust, and honor were all on the line. Iliara took a deep breath, focusing her mind. The human ability to adapt and persevere had been tested, but the true challenge was just beginning. She would prove herself, not just to Kerith, but to the universe. The moon was silent except for the occasional hum of the old research facility. Iliara crouched behind a jagged rock, checking the sensors on the shuttle. The Eniran ships were still somewhere out in the asteroid belt, searching, waiting. Each blink of the monitor made her heart skip a beat, but she refused to panic. Panic had never helped anyone, and she had a warrior to prove herself too. Kerith moved beside her, body coiled like a predator ready to strike. Her golden eyes scanned the shadows, her hands brushing against the edges of her armor as if it could make her stronger. Despite the alien's tense posture, there was something almost human in her vigilance, a dedication to survival that mirrored Iliara's own instincts. "You, calm," Kerith said, her voice low. "Human, adapt, may be worth. I'll keep proving it. We need to survive. That's all that matters right now." The moon's surface was rocky, uneven, and covered in craters that provided natural cover. The old research facility was a patchwork of metal walls, partially collapsed corridors, and shadowed rooms. She could see a few sealed storage units, some powered-down consoles, and an emergency communications array that might still work. It wasn't much, but it was enough to plan a strategy. "We can fortify this place," Iliara said quietly. "If the Eniran come, we can set traps, block entrances, use the facility to our advantage." She gestured toward the facility. "Show, action, not words." She also found several long-range emitters that could be jury-rigged as alarm triggers. If the Arin attempted a direct approach, the human could at least delay them. Kerith observed silently, her golden eyes narrowing as she inspected every setup. Occasionally, she offered corrections or suggestions. "Stack, higher, line, corridors." Trap, surprise. Survival demanded endurance, and she had a reputation to earn. Finally, she stepped back and surveyed the work. The facility was far from perfect, but it was defensible. She turned to Kerith. "I think this is as good as it gets. If they come, we'll have a fighting chance." "Maybe worth." Their ships were smaller than the main vessels, sleek, and equipped with weapons designed for rapid strikes. They were moving in formation, scanning the surface, clearly searching for the human and Kirin pair. "Stay calm," Iliara whispered to Kerith, though her own pulse raced. "We can handle this." Iliara adjusted the emitters she had set up, ensuring they would trigger if the Eniran approached the facility's entrances. She also armed a few makeshift flash devices, using the old power cells to create sudden bursts of light that could temporarily blind sensors or disorient attackers. The first Eniran fighter descended toward the facility, engines glowing ominously. Iliara held her breath, waiting for the right moment. As it approached, she triggered a flash device. The sudden burst of light and electromagnetic interference caused the ship to swerve, narrowly avoiding a collision with one of the rocky outcrops. Kerith grunted in approval. "Good timing, human fast thinking." Another fighter appeared, moving from a different angle. She quickly calculated a new trajectory, guiding Kerith to a concealed position. Then she triggered a second device, a small pulse that temporarily disrupted the ship's sensors. The fighter faltered, engines straining to maintain control. The Eniran were relentless, though. 3 more fighters emerged, each one approaching from a different direction. Iliara's mind raced. She couldn't outgun them directly, but she could outthink them. Using the terrain and the facility's structure, she lured 2 fighters into the crater's narrow walls, forcing them to follow a convoluted path that made targeting difficult. She triggered a series of improvised traps, metal plates rigged to create sudden noise, sharp debris meant to damage landing struts, and a few more flashes to disorient sensors. Kerith moved with precision, striking when necessary. Her armor clanged as she used her strength and agility to disable the nearest fighter's external weapons, climbing onto the hull and smashing critical components. Iliara watched, both impressed and anxious. The Kirin warrior was formidable, but they had to survive together. Every move mattered. After several tense minutes, the Eniran squad had been pushed back, damaged and confused. They retreated into the asteroid belt, regrouping. Iliara exhaled, her body trembling from adrenaline. She looked at Kerith, whose golden eyes glimmered with something almost like respect. "You survive, think, act," Kerith said slowly, voice carrying approval. "Human earns trust. Words matter little. You act fast, human may be worthy." She and Kerith would need to remain vigilant, adapt to each threat, and continue proving their worth. But for the first time, she felt a sense of accomplishment. Humanity could survive even among the most disciplined and formidable alien cultures. Kerith finally relaxed slightly, moving to the edge of the facility to scan the stars. Human, clever. Must see if more than luck. The Eniran would test them again, and the galaxy was full of dangers she had yet to encounter. But she had learned something vital. Humans had a unique combination of ingenuity, courage, and empathy that could earn respect, even from the proudest and most disciplined species. As they settled in for the night, Iliara prepared for what was to come. She checked the emitters, reinforced the barricades, and ensured the shuttle's engines were ready for a quick departure. Kerith remained vigilant, her armor glinting faintly in the dim light. Together, they waited, ready for the next challenge. The stars above the moon stretched endlessly, cold and distant, yet full of opportunity. The human had proven herself in small ways, but the larger tests were still ahead. Iliara's mind raced with plans, strategies, and contingencies, each one designed to ensure survival and earn Kerith's trust. And somewhere in the shadows, Kerith's golden eyes never left her. They were watching, judging, learning. They were a constant reminder that actions spoke louder than words, that respect had to be earned, and that survival required both courage and cleverness. The accident with the armor had begun as a simple mistake, but it had become the first step in a journey that would test everything Iliara had learned. And she was ready. The moon's surface was quiet now, but Iliara knew it would not stay that way for long. The Eniran were still out there, lurking somewhere in the asteroid belt, ready to strike again. But for the moment, they had a fragile reprieve. Iliara took a deep breath and looked at Kerith. The Kirin warrior's golden eyes were focused on the horizon, scanning the shadows for any movement, but there was something else there too, a trace of curiosity, maybe even respect. "We need more than luck to survive," Iliara said quietly. "We need a plan, something permanent. Maybe we can contact other Kirin or human allies." Allies help, but trust must earned, human earned still. She began inspecting the facility again, looking for anything that could strengthen their position, old communications consoles, power generators, or even defensive technology left behind by scientists long gone. Her hands brushed against a control panel, and a faint hum responded. The system was partially operational. She started rerouting power, piecing together a makeshift communication link that could reach Kirin outposts. Karith watched silently, her arms crossed over her chest. "You, fast learner," Karith said. "Human clever, maybe earn trust faster than expected. It's about surviving and protecting you." Hours later, after configuring a weak but functional communication link, Iliara felt a sense of cautious optimism. "I can try to send a signal," she said. "It might reach someone, Kirin or human, it doesn't matter, it's a start." Must prepare. One small victory, but an important one. Suddenly a faint vibration ran through the ground. Karith stiffened immediately. Movement fast Eniran. Iliara triggered the improvised traps she had set up. Metal plates rattled, flash devices erupted, and small debris was launched to damage the landing struts. The scout faltered, giving them a momentary advantage. Karith moved like a shadow, swift and deadly. She disabled the scout's weapons, her strength and precision unmatched. Iliara followed closely, using her knowledge of the facility to guide the alien and create openings. Together, they worked seamlessly, humans' ingenuity complementing Kirin's martial skill. The fight was short but intense. The Eniran retreated, clearly frustrated, but the victory was temporary. Iliara knew that sooner or later a larger force would come, and their survival would depend on more than clever traps and quick thinking. "We need to prove ourselves," Karith said after the battle, voice low but firm. "Kirin elders must see trust fully, only then safe." She had heard of the Kirin elders, ancient, highly respected leaders who judged honor and worth. If they disapproved, humans could be treated as reckless interlopers or even enemies. "Then we go to them," she said. "I'll prove I'm worthy, together." The Kirin had strict protocols for approaching their council, and Karith guided Iliara with precision. Every movement mattered, too fast or too casual, and they could offend the elders. Too cautious, and they might appear weak. Iliara followed Karith's lead, learning the subtle gestures, the pauses, the respectful tones. When they arrived, the elders were waiting in a circular chamber carved into the moon's rock, their golden eyes and angular armor reflecting the dim light. Karith stepped forward first, standing tall and silent, her presence commanding respect. Iliara followed, keeping her posture straight, hands visible, heart pounding. One elder, older than the rest, spoke first. "Kirin warrior returns with human. Tell us why." "Humans speak, but words not enough. Actions must show honor, courage, skill." "Eniran threat remains. Can humans survive challenge?" The elders activated a simulation system within the chamber, a holographic representation of the Eniran fleet attacking. Sensors, weapons, and obstacles were projected, and Iliara had to guide Karith through a series of maneuvers to neutralize threats. Every choice counted. Misstep, hesitation, or error would be noted. Iliara coordinated with Karith, combining her technical knowledge with the alien's martial prowess. She guided the Kirin warrior around virtual obstacles, instructed on timing for strikes, and used her knowledge of the environment to create openings. Karith moved with lethal precision, striking down simulated enemies, responding perfectly to Iliara's instructions. The simulation was relentless, testing speed, adaptability, and decision-making. Iliara's mind raced, calculating each move, predicting outcomes, and making quick adjustments. The elders observed silently, their expressions unreadable. After several intense cycles, the simulation ended. The chamber fell silent. Iliara's heart pounded, but she remained composed, standing tall and waiting for judgment. Finally, the elder spoke. "Humans survived, adapted, acted with courage. Words no longer needed. Actions show worth, if except human." She had done it. She had proven herself not through luck, not through words, but through action, intelligence, and courage. The elders studied her for a moment longer, then nodded in approval. "You may travel with Kirin. Human, rare, capable of honor, must continue to act wisely, quickly, and with courage." "I promise. I couldn't have done it without you." The Eniran threat remained, and there would be more challenges ahead. But she also understood something vital. Humans had a unique strength, a combination of adaptability, courage, and intelligence that could earn the respect of even the most disciplined and proud species. For the first time, she felt a sense of belonging, not just as a human, but as a capable ally, a partner in survival and strategy. She had turned a mistake, accidentally cleaning Kerith's armor, into an opportunity to prove herself, to show that humans could act with honor and skill. The stars above the moon glimmered coldly, indifferent yet full of potential. Iliara and Kerith stood together, ready to face whatever came next. The Eniran would return, of that she was certain, but she now had the confidence and the ally to meet them head-on. And somewhere in the shadows, the Kirin Elder's golden eyes followed her, silently acknowledging that humans, despite their flaws and recklessness, could rise to the challenge, act with honor, and earn a place among warriors. The accident with the armor had started it all. Now Iliara had a chance to shape the future, not just for herself, but for humanity in the fringe. She would survive, she would prove her worth, and she would show the universe what humans were capable of. The moon's surface was quiet in the dim light of its distant sun, but Iliara could feel the tension lingering in the air. Kerith stood beside her, golden eyes scanning the horizon, alert for even the faintest hint of danger. The Kirin elders had accepted her, granting her trust and recognition, but the Eniran were still out there, and survival demanded vigilance. Iliara adjusted her tools, her fingers brushing over the makeshift weapon she had rigged from old station components. "We can't wait for them to find us," Iliara said quietly. "We need to strike before they regain the advantage." Action quick, mistake fatal. Iliara reinforced barricades, set motion-triggered flashes, and rigged the old facilities systems to emit bursts of energy, capable of disorienting sensors and temporarily disabling weapons. Kerith moved with silent precision, ensuring each position was secure and every trap optimized for effectiveness. Together, they worked in near-perfect synchronization, the human and Kirin warrior learning to anticipate each other's actions without words. Finally, Iliara crouched behind a rock, peering toward the valley. The Eniran fleet emerged from the asteroid shadows, their engines glowing ominously. Smaller fighters flew ahead, scouts to probe the area, while larger ships followed behind, ready to strike. Iliara's pulse quickened, but she forced herself to remain calm. Panic was useless. Planning and precision were their weapons now. The first scout approached the valley, unaware of the ambush awaiting it. Iliara triggered the initial flash devices, disorienting its sensors. Kerith struck with lethal speed, disabling the craft's weapons with a powerful strike to the hull. Another scout followed, engines flaring as it attempted to evade the traps. Iliara adjusted the trajectory, using the terrain to force it into a narrow path where it collided with debris and became immobilized. Kerith moved like a shadow, climbing over rocks and striking with precision. Her armor glinted in the dim light, and each movement was measured, efficient, and deadly. Iliara watched, coordinating their actions, anticipating the Eniran's responses, and adjusting traps and distractions on the fly. The main Eniran ships advanced, their weapons tracking the valley with deadly accuracy. Iliara activated the facility's energy emitters, sending pulses that disrupted targeting systems and temporarily blinded the enemy sensors. The ships faltered, giving Kerith the opening to strike again, disabling engines and causing controlled crashes. Despite their small numbers, Iliara and Kerith moved with coordination, strategy, and adaptability. The Eniran were formidable, but their tactics relied on overwhelming force. In the confined valley, their advantage was minimized. Every trap, every flash, every maneuver worked in their favor. Hours passed in a tense battle, the valley echoing with the sounds of engines, explosions, and metallic impacts. Iliara's hands ached from constant adjustments to the traps and emitters, her mind racing with calculations and contingencies. Kerith fought with lethal precision, covering angles, neutralizing threats, and moving as if she had been born to navigate the chaos. Together, they formed an unbroken chain of strategy and action, the human's ingenuity perfectly complementing the Kirin's strength and skill. Finally, the Eniran were forced to retreat. The remaining ships limped away, damaged, confused, and wary of further engagement. Iliara exhaled, feeling the tension drain from her body, though she remained vigilant. Kerith approached, eyes glimmering with approval. "You survive, think, act. Human earns respect," Kerith said slowly, her voice low but firm. Iliara smiled faintly, exhaustion and relief mixing together. "Thank you, we did it together." Human proved worthy. The Eniran would return eventually, but the human had learned valuable lessons in strategy, preparation, and alliance. The Kirin warrior, once cautious and distant, now stood beside her not as a judge but as a partner. "We need to leave this moon soon," Karith said, eyes scanning the horizon. "Eniran, regrouping, must move before stronger force. I can get us back to the shuttle, and we can head for safer space. Maybe the Kirin outposts will offer further assistance." When they finally reached the shuttle, Iliara took the controls while Karith scanned the perimeter one last time. "Ready?" Iliara asked. Karith nodded. "Always ready, human. We survive together." Karith's golden eyes remained alert, scanning every shadow, every glint of metal, ensuring their path remained safe. As they traveled, Iliara reflected on how far they had come. What had started as an accidental offense, cleaning Karith's armor, had become the catalyst for an alliance built on trust, respect, and survival. Humans, often underestimated, had proven that courage, ingenuity, and quick thinking could earn a place among even the most disciplined and formidable species. After hours of careful navigation, the shuttle reached a safe distance from the moon. Iliara activated the weak communication link she had established earlier. The Kirin scout she had contacted responded, confirming coordinates for a rendezvous with a nearby outpost. Relief washed over her. Their immediate safety was secured. Karith turned toward her, expression unreadable at first. Then, with a subtle gesture, she removed her helmet, allowing Iliara to see the weariness and respect in her eyes. "Human, unusual, acts with honor, courage, intelligence." Karith trusts human. For the first time, Iliara felt that humans had a real place in the galaxy, not just as survivors but as respected partners capable of strategy, courage, and honor. The shuttle moved through the quiet of space, stars stretching endlessly around them. The Eniran threat remained, distant but persistent, yet Iliara no longer felt fear in the same way. She had proven herself, earned the trust of a warrior species, and forged an alliance that could change the course of survival in the fringe. Hours later, they arrived at the Kirin outpost. The reception was cautious but respectful. Karith introduced Iliara to the commanders, highlighting the humans' ingenuity and courage in the face of overwhelming odds. The Kirin officers were initially skeptical, but as they heard the details of traps, strategies, and decisions Iliara had implemented, they nodded in approval. "You, human, capable," one commander said. "Actions show honor. Kirin recognize value." Humans could be underestimated, but their ability to adapt, think quickly, and act with courage made them valuable allies, even among the most disciplined alien species. Karith placed a hand on Iliara's shoulder, a rare gesture of camaraderie. "Human, proven, worthy, together stronger, survival possible." She knew challenges would continue, threats would emerge, but she had learned something vital. Humanity had a unique combination of skills, courage, and intelligence that could earn respect, forge alliances, and survive in the harshest conditions. For the first time, she felt confident that humans could thrive, not just endure in the galaxy. The accidental cleaning of Karith's armor had led to a bond, a test of courage, and the demonstration of humanity's strengths. The stars above stretched endlessly, cold but full of possibility. Iliara tightened her grip on the shuttle's controls, ready for whatever came next. With Karith by her side, humanity had proven itself in the fringe, not just as survivors, but as respected, capable, and extraordinary allies. And somewhere, deep in the vastness of space, the Eniran fleet lurked, unaware that the humans they had once underestimated had now become a force they would never ignore. Iliara exhaled, a mix of relief and determination filling her chest. They had survived, they had earned trust, and they had proven the enduring value of courage, intelligence, and adaptability. Humanity, she realized, was more than capable of standing alongside the most formidable beings in the galaxy, and she was ready to continue the journey. Karith's golden eyes met hers, silently conveying what words could not. Human, proven, worthy. Continue, act, survive together,